Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week, we have 4 members of MMG. Thank you guys for all being here.
Thank you for being here.
After hours.
Hours.
This is like an after hours podcast.
I like that.
And the reasoning for this podcast is going to be a little different than a lot of what we've done. We have recently launched Square One Coaching. So Square One Coaching is going to be a coaching platform for everything marketing, business, and mindset. And I feel like all of those things hold so much weight to them. And a lot of people lack in one of those departments on scaling. Mm-hmm. And when we launched it, I've had a lot of people DM me on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn about what it is and the execution of it and what it looks like long term. So I want to have a full podcast of going over that with you guys, because this is going to be something that it is branded around me, but it's going to be a full team effort of running it. Something like that can't be ran by one person. So I wanted everyone here to go over what that full term execution looks like and what people are really going to see from Square One Coaching and how it can change people's lives. Ricky and I are both part of other coaching groups that have changed so many things, that have opened up our minds to something. And I feel like so many times people discount spending money to improve their future. Wait, I kind of take that back, because people are willing to go spend it on college, right, and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars because that's what society has told them is what they need. Mm-hmm. But people aren't willing to spend money to learn how to open a business, learn how to market their business, learn how to have the right growth mindset, and all these different things. So I want your guys' feedback on what you've seen with Moss Marketing Group on the growth side, how important that mindset is, how important that marketing is, and all those things, and just kind of build this podcast around that.
So first off, before we get into that, have I ever told you that Rob's coaching group, which is Clear, Calculated, and Vicious, is actually why I'm right here right now?
You have not.
Oh, well, that is his live calls go over a lot of things. And one of those things, or what I've gained the most, is a different perspective on things. And I realized that the situation that I was in at the gym, we just kind of hit the ceiling. There wasn't anywhere to go. And some of his calls helped me realize that there should be more in life. And that's how, kind of why I took that jump.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to thank Rob right now directly. Thank you very much for that.
I bet he's listening.
I bet he is. And that's very much on. So I'm part of Keaton's his group and coaching group and everything like that.
You should explain who Keaton is real quick.
So yeah. Keaton is actually part of, if anyone has ever watched the Diesel Brothers, he is the muscle. He has this, just built the most phenomenal place in Utah and everything, overlooking all of Farmington. And Ricky and I had the ability to go out to his house this last weekend. The podcast airs is going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it was very eye-opening seeing how those guys and the people that were there, I mean, the scale of people was crazy. And the way that they think about things, that mindset was something that, that mindset was something I took out, I think, the most from it. I feel like there's a lot of groups a lot of coaching groups are just a bunch of hype people. Go do this, go do this, go do this. And it's like, I want something where we can build tangible actions that people can take to their business and go increase their profits and change their lives. And that's what those guys are doing. And I'm on a weekly call with, there's a few hundred people on the call each week. that are like-minded to myself. They're growing businesses. They're doing these things that are really making a difference all across the country. And you're in the exact same thing with Rob Bailey's coaching group. And when we were there, they talk about the knowledge that they have in these different, their knowledge comes a lot from that mindset side. These guys think bigger than life.
Yeah.
Their outlook on stuff is just crazy. Most of the time they don't tell people what their goals are because it's so far out there, people don't believe in them, things like that. And it was something that hit so close to home for me that when I started this, everyone thought I was crazy. Like everything I've always told people I was going to do, they're like, yeah, okay. And then it happens like time and time again. And I looked at Ricky halfway through the session. I was like, we're starting a coaching group when we get back. That was just something that I feel so much of can be, I want to do the mindset of what they do, but I also want to bring those actions of how people can actually take it to market.
And what's awesome about those types of coaching groups is it's hard to put an ROI on it, but if you get just one tiny nugget, it will change your life forever.
If you can do that, if you can take one nugget out of once a month.
Yeah.
Once a month. I don't think people realize scalability of business and scalability of anything that they do, what those little wins really add up to. And most of the time when I talk to business owners and people in general, most of the time when you speak of goals to someone, it's very short term. Like I think of short term goals, but I think most of the time of like 5-year spans. That's most of the time where my head is always running is what 5 years from now looks like. And if you look at what 5 years, like when I started Moss Marketing Group, I had a 5-year goal. I hit it in 18 months. And it was a dollars and cents like financial goal. But it's all these other things that come with what that progresses into. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people think too small scale. When you really rabbit hole it down, like it's good to have short-term goals, long-term goals, things like that. But you have to always keep that grander vision in mind. Because then there's going to be goals that you set that sometimes you don't reach. That's okay. But you always have to keep pushing forward to make those things happen, to push that next level. And same thing when we talk about all the time with businesses that we have that we can really tell when we have a really successful business because they're looking at quarter over quarter. When we have the business owner that's looking month over month, it's normally a completely different person. And I think there's just so much of that most people, especially in the Midwest, have never been open. Their mind hasn't been open to what that looks like.
Yeah, I think it's perspective. So when I think of like you said coaching group, whenever I think of that, I think of, 3 things: perspective, accountability, and like community. So no matter where you're at in life, you can always value from other people's perspective. And I think that's probably, to me, the number one thing that comes out of stuff like this is getting someone else's opinion on something that you may not be in the right position, not the right position, but you may have been looking at for too long or just be stuck with. So I think one thing, too, I took from actually Tyler Thorne's podcast. I was listening to one of his this week, and one of his guests said that if you're going to hire a coach, you need to make sure that that coach has a coach themselves. Mm-hmm. So just hearing that, you guys are involved in coaching groups yourself and learning from others and around high caliber people puts you in a position to lead others. And I'd say for anyone that's looking at joining a coaching group in general, if you yourself want to find the ability to lead others or you already lead others, then you need to be investing in your leadership skills yourself. Yeah,
and that leadership position, that is a needle that is always moving. You can never fill that tank and be full. Mm-hmm. And you look at someone like the Muscle, Rob Bailey, we had Sean Whalen there, you have Brad Lee, you have this high-level elite group of guys.
Andy Frisella.
Like the guys that were in that room were I don't know, I can't even put words into what it was.
Yeah.
And the only person that was there that we didn't get to see speak was Ed Milet. And Ed was there speaking Friday night. And when he spoke in a room, every one of those guys that, I mean, we're all looking to as being the top of the top, looked to Ed as being above them.
Yeah.
And it's crazy when there's always another level.
Yep.
Always a different level.
There's always another. The Ed is making his own TV show now. Has one of the top podcasts in the country. This dude is. He knows when he steps in a room, he is the wealthiest dude in the room, and probably one of the most highly respected people in a room.
Yeah.
But there's also people that he looks to. If he steps into a room with Jeff Bezos walks into a room with all those guys. He's like, these dudes are making pennies on the dollar to what I am.
You could add everybody up, and it's still not even remotely close.
Yeah, you guys still aren't even playing the same field I'm playing in.
Yeah.
But I think so many people miss that kind of, I don't know, mentality of what it is, that it can always be pushed to another level. And I feel like I even kind of lost sight of that. I felt like, I'm like, we've really gained a lot of traction. Things are going in the right direction, things like of these nature. And then you listen to Andy Frisella's talk about what he did in 10 years. And you look at then what he progresses to, and where he says, I'm running a $100 million company, and he goes, I still wasn't the best version of myself. Most people are like, I'm pretty comfortable. I run a $100 million company. Like this is what every human being on the planet strives to be.
And then he gets in that position and creates 75 hard and turns into this absolute animal.
And builds just something that's so much built into $1 billion.
Sunset.
Exactly. Then creates $1 billion company.
Yeah.
And when you listen, and this gives me goosebumps, when you listen to why he did that, is what changes everything. He gets to that spot, and it's, once again, he has more money at that point than any of us would know what to do with. The money was not what drives somebody at that point. Yeah. At that point, he goes, I want to be the best version of myself for everyone that's around me. So when you start working on becoming the best version of yourself, that's mindset, business, marketing, all those things. You become the best version of yourself for everyone around you. Don't do it for yourself.
Yeah. And look at what he was leaving on the table. I mean, I don't know the exact weight. Maybe you do, but I know that he was really out of shape.
I think he was 350 pounds.
Yeah. He was
something up there.
Drinking a lot, was not 100% focused. That person that he was then had the same potential and the same ability as the version of himself now does. That's how much he was missing out on. And that's how much everyone's missing out on.
I think every single speaker there went off of one speaking point that Ed had.
The transitional character?
Yep. And it was like almost something when this came up in the event, when Rob was talking about it, it was like something made me tear up.
Yeah.
Like he talks about being a transitional character in your lifetime or in your family tree.
Yeah.
He goes, your family always, there's going to be one transitional character, being that person. I don't know how his whole entire spiel works out word for word.
Yeah.
But it was something when he said it, it was like, I know that I'm that transitional character. I don't even think twice about it. It's just something inside of me that knows that like I am that person.
And what he means by transitional character is somebody that comes through the family tree and they're so successful. Like they're not just making a little bit more money than their grandpa or whatever. It's somebody that comes through their family tree and changes their lineage forever.
Your kids' kids and their kids' kids and so on and so forth, that you change that family tree way after you were ever gone.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's building a legacy.
Not only financially, mindset wise.
Exactly.
Being the type of person, the type of family it is.
That I sit there and think about being around Ed Milet all the time.
Yeah.
Your mindset that you would have.
I don't even think like I could fathom it because like just being from a small town, like growing up with parents who were just very complacent with life. Like they were just very comfortable and I never grew up with that. And so when Ricky and I moved here to Kansas City and we were starting to be exposed to people that had dreams and ambitions and we're driven and we're motivated, I was like a whole new world. And like now being in the position that we are now, like Ricky getting to go see those people in real life was obviously like a dream for him. And now that it's happened, already I've seen things like come to life and like, oh, that can really happen. Like those things are possible. You get to pick your own destiny. Like you get to pick where you go and what you do, and it's just like starting from square one. Like you just have to do it.
I like how she brought that back to the coaching.
That was good.
I knew this was going to
really
be
good.
something that was like just going to be very like fulfilling as a podcast as a whole.
Yeah.
And it is very much one of those things that I don't think people really unlock what they can do. And just like this morning, posting that posting that video coming in on Instagram, that was one of the most uncomfortable things I've done in a very long time.
Like since starting the podcast?
The podcast was probably right up. That may have been even more uncomfortable because at least the podcast, I feel like there's people around me.
That's true.
That was completely by myself in the truck. Like I have filmed that exact same thing driving to the office 50 plus times. And I have deleted it in the parking lot 50 plus times.
Oh yeah.
And it was like one of those things that when you, I don't know, it's something, and you watch these guys, you watch what they do, and it's, once again, we're talking about the guys that aren't even the Eds.
Yeah.
We're talking about like one level up. We can go from where we're at to the next level. We're in like second place, or we're probably in like third place. Like we're not even taking the step up to the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
And that's what so many people don't understand is why not you? You don't meet these guys and like, yeah, we came from a uber rich family and we've just like
Oh, yeah.
been running our hedge funds and shit like this.
So one of my biggest takeaways from this last weekend was that, oh, those are just regular dudes.
100%. We're like shaking hands, talking to them, like having a conversation like we are right now. They could sit right here on this couch and be the exact same person we are. They just open their mind
Yeah.
to do way more than we wanted to.
And they'll also tell you that too. Like that's one of the things that Andy says all the time. He's like, I'm just a regular dude.
Yeah.
He's intense, but he's just a regular dude.
Yeah. But they've also, the one common denominator that all those guys have is they became good leaders.
Yeah.
When you become a good leader,
And consistency. They stuck with something.
exactly. And you ask Andy about trusting the process. The dude for 10 years made like what, $52,000 total.
In the
Yeah,
10 years he
and
made.
there was a couple of years in the beginning that he made zero. Or he probably was
And
negative.
he was like living in the stores.
Yeah.
Did you see on his story today they're building another warehouse?
It doesn't surprise me.
I saw that. They have like
good.
the one wall up.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
massive.
But
It's
you,
insane.
if you sit there and you talk to Andy for 1 minute, you give that dude 60 seconds, you're going to know that dude is an animal.
Yeah.
Just because his mind, like the way his mind runs and operates. But those guys, like, once again, they think bigger than life. And those guys don't fail. Like anything that they do is like failure's not a thing. And that's one thing I do kind of like disagree with on some of when I don't let failure in my life. It's just not an option.
Well, if you don't quit, you won't lose.
Exactly. So it's never quitting, but it's also, I don't look as failure. I look as like learning.
A learning opportunity. Like
Yeah.
if something doesn't work out, you just kick your ass in gear and you go to the next
I don't look as
Exactly.
that like I failed at that.
One of the
Yeah.
one of the things. So I've gone to some things like you guys went to, not as close. They were Grant Cardone's deals, and I might butcher her name, Maria Forleo. I don't.
think you're close.
Yeah.
Something
anyway,
like that.
her like quote that embodies her is I win or learn, I never lose.
I like
Yeah.
that.
That's very much something that I think more people should be like that. And I think when your mindset gets correct, you start, I don't know, it's this, all these other things start coming into place. That if you don't believe you can be the best car dealership on the planet, don't open up a car dealership. If you don't believe that you can be the best at whatever you're going to do,
Yeah.
don't do it. And it's, once again, like I have this conversation all the time with Madison that she's like, people don't think like you. She goes, I know that your brain runs and operates completely different. And it is a struggle that I don't understand how other people's head, I don't understand how anyone else's head runs and operates. And the only person that knows that is you. But I want to be able to talk with people week in and week out to establish what it takes to get their head where it needs to be to make the most of their life.
Yeah.
And I would say part of that is also that for most of us, unless you're in something like a coaching group, you don't have the opportunity to surround yourself with people who do think at the same level or higher than you do.
I love being around people that think at a higher level than I do. And I always feel like I've always thought at a very high level. I have these dreams and all this stuff that I tell to people that are very close to me. But most of the time, if you're not within my circle, I'm not going to, if somebody goes, hey, what are your goals for 5 years? I'm not going to tell them. They're going to laugh at me. But in 5 years, I know 110% that I'm going to do exactly what I tell them I'm going to do. And I've always been that way. But I dealt with it in high school and I dealt with it in college where I told people what, I'm like, well, I'm going to do this right when I get out of college. Like, yeah, okay. I did exactly what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, that's how it's been. But I think people have to be opened up to being in the right group of people that are also that way. The people should be able to express it like, hey, I want to have a private jet. This is the execution I think I can take to go get a private jet. Mm-hmm. I can make it to where I own my time. I think that's what so many people discount. That Sean Whalen was there and he talked about, guess what? I don't care how much fucking money Ed Milet has, he can't buy his time back. I don't care how much money Jeff Bezos has, he can't buy his time back. Mm-hmm. And Brad Lee talks about the $1 million, you made a reel on it, that if I gave you $1 million today, that sound pretty awesome? If I gave you that $1 million and told you couldn't wake up tomorrow, would you take it? No. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden you figured out that today is worth more than $1 million. And most people don't even look at life like that. I can tell you every morning when I'm driving to work, I am cheesing like ear to ear. I am like so fucking pumped to come to work. Like I am so thankful that I even get a drive to work. I am so thankful that I even get the opportunity to go take on the challenges I take on every day. And it's when you start looking at things like that, you get excited about it.
And that excitement's going to carry into your results too.
Mm-hmm. And that can carry into the results, but it's also where people look at those failures, or what they call failures, or those objections that they have to overcome, or those obstacles, or whatever they are. That's an opportunity to become better at what you do. And I look at what we do today to what I did when I opened this. And I was reflecting on this at the beginning of this week. I was sitting at home and I'm like working on this coaching deal and everything. And Sean's talking about how when we were at this event, he started his coaching group 6 years ago. He was talking about how hard it was to get one person to sign up. I put this thing out and we get somebody signs up right away. And it was like, there's something to it. Mm-hmm. We've changed a lot of lives doing what we do for business owners that currently own and operate businesses. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is something that can even work for those people too, on having that right mindset, having that a little bit edge to them understanding the marketing better, right, to them understanding a little bit more within their business on how to scale on all these different things. But it's also going to be something for the business owner that's not a business owner yet. That they're selling cars at a car dealership right now and they want to go do something. They've had this idea. They just don't know how to execute it.
Yeah. Or they just want to sell more cars. That's going to help that person too.
Or they want to sell cars and they need to have that better mindset. But there's some people out there, I wish I would have had this push 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. I sit there and think about where I would sit right now. This happened 4 years earlier. Yeah. And it's one of those things that everyone needs that person in their corner all the time. Mm-hmm. In fact, so many people especially when you get into business and you start seeing success, everyone turns on you. And you're in a corner by yourself. When you're standing in a corner by yourself and no one's on your side, it gets way harder really, really quick. And I want everyone to have an outlet where there's a community of people that are right there to say, hey, you can do it. Those are those people that are in your corner that's saying, hey, we're in the exact same spot. We're all making this happen.
Well, there's also like a very large percentage of people that may feel like they're just like stuck in their everyday life. Like I think about where I would be if I would have, with my nursing degree, if I would have stuck with nursing, like what would I be doing? I would literally be working 3-4 times a week, 12-hour shifts at a hospital, coming home and just hating every moment of my life. Hating, like, even though I loved nursing, I loved the, like, taking care of people, I would come home and just, like, have a shitty shift and then take it out on Ricky, take it out on my friends, my family. Like, I feel like there's so many people that are stuck with that. Like, they got their college degree, they have to go do that. And I think with this group, that could even be someone who, if you work a 9-to-5, do you really love what you do? Or do you feel stuck in that position? Because if you really love what you do, great. You're one of the few percentage of people that actually love their 9-to-5 job. Great. But the percentage of people that are stuck or feel stuck, this may be like just the push or the perspective of others to go out and do what they don't think is possible.
100%.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately over the last week, at least kind of reflecting, with myself, is I think a lot of people like talk a lot and they don't take action. I'd say 99% of people like talk is cheap.
Yeah.
Action is real. I think being around like-minded people and getting that nugget, every month is what a lot of people need to take the action and take the leap, really. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you gotta decide, are you just going to talk forever or are you actually going to make the choice to take the action and change your life?
It's also motivating too when you see people that are going to be in the group and they're going to say, maybe one week they're like, hey, I'm going to do this, this, and that. And then, you go about your thing doing whatever it is. And then you see next week they're like, okay, I did this. Now I'm doing this. And seeing their progress is going to be really motivating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that I've always felt that I am someone, when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do things. Mm-hmm. And I feel like most people that know me know that I'm that way. Like, I don't put something into the world. The only thing I've ever put into the world that I am going to have to accomplish one of these days, and I want you guys to hold me to this, is climbing Everest.
Oh, my.
Like, I'm going to have to get in a lot better shape to make it happen, but one of these days after Moss Party Group is big enough, I am going to physically train myself to go do that.
All right, so we're not going to rabbit hole, but we're going to tell the story real quick. So last year in 21, 4 of us went to South Dakota, and we're climbing the tallest mountain in South Dakota. I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, we get to the top, and Dane,
also don't know what it's called.
Dane loved it. It's beautiful. We hiked up at sunset. We ended up hiking an hour back in the dark through the woods, thinking we're going to get attacked by a mountain lion, but whatever. So we get to dinner.
Great time.
Yeah, it was an awesome time. We get to dinner, and Dane's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna hike Mount Everest. I think I'm ready for it.
I did not say I was ready for it.
Blows right by like Denali, like not even gonna go for like the second highest.
No, I didn't even say that I was ready for it. I said that I am going to. I maybe put my time frame was off. I said I could probably do it in like 3 years.
I think it was 2024. What was it, Dre?
23. He's saying 23.
I think he's just
said
giving us
2030.
By the time he's 30?
By the time
you're 30.
I still got all kinds of time, so don't count me out yet. No, but it's one of those things that I will do that.
I believe you.
But
that's the type of person that Dane is. It's crazy enough. I believe you.
But it's very much like I want, like what I've done in business, what I've done in life, like everything. I love challenging myself. And I think that's what a lot of people, I don't feel nursing challenged you on what you did.
No.
I don't feel like the gym space challenged Ricky and what he did. And it's very much like you get in those spaces that I know Logan working at Hallmark and sitting there making phone calls every day at Sunlight was not challenging for you. Like, I want people to be challenged. Push yourself every single day. if you're not getting uncomfortable in life, then life isn't progressing. There's so many. I remember one night I drove home that I sat in my truck for 30 minutes after I got home. Madison's texting me. She's like, dogs are fucking barking. Get the fuck out of the truck. Get inside. And I'm like breaking down in my truck. I'm like, I felt like the whole world was crumbling down around me. I was like, we had like a couple of accounts canceled that day. I just had like a shitty day. And like nobody around, no human being around me knows I had a bad day. I got home and I had that time in the truck by myself and I fucking was like shattered. And I felt I had been going for probably 3 months straight, working on the weekends, doing all this other shit, taking my laptop home, working at night. And I was just like, I don't think I can take this anymore. I'm like sitting in the truck and I'm like fucking just done. I'm like, I don't know what to fucking do. And I go inside and Madison's just cheesing ear to ear to see me. And she was so excited for everything. And I'm like, this is why I do what I do. I go, I'm going to change our lives forever. I go, this is the exact reason why I do what I do. I go, I'm going to give her the best life she's ever seen. And it's like, and then I sat down on the couch and I'm like, I am so fortunate and thankful for what I get to do every day. And I was like, but it was an hour of time that was so different from the first 30 minutes to the next 30 minutes. And I feel like so many of those people get in that rut, but they don't have somebody to pull them back out. Mm-hmm. And you can get stuck in that rut. That rut can get really long. It can be really fucking far. I feel like a lot of people need that. I don't know, that person there to pull them out of it. And I know we talk a lot about the mindset, but I feel like that's such a huge portion of what this coaching group is going to be about. Mm-hmm. And I want that to be a big portion of it. I really want people to think outside the box of what they can do. That I hadn't even thought any human being on the planet would pay for my time to go over to how to make their life better. And I'm working like the last 48 hours straight building out this coaching group, and someone signs up. You can ask Madison. I was like jumping around the living room. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God. I was like,
I can picture Oakley freaking out already.
Oakley's freaking out. He's like, why is Dad going crazy? And like Duke's like looking at us like we're all crazy. He's
Getting
like,
another brother?
yeah, he's like, I'm napping. But it's just like, there's value in it. And I want people to, I know people have those times and I want to help in those. But once again, I want that we can be on those calls and help people execute that idea. That if somebody comes to us and says, hey, I want to start my own coaching group, you know what? We've done it. We know how to execute. We can help you build everything out. We can help take that idea and make it a reality.
One of my favorite parts about Square One so far is how fast it went from idea to execution. Because that would have been Saturday afternoon.
Yep. I looked at Ricky. They're talking about it. I look at Ricky. I'm like, hey, we're starting a coaching group on Monday.
I looked at him back and I said, okay.
He's like, okay.
We get on an airplane the next day. We figure out the logo before we land.
Yeah. Just perhaps the third person in the seat is the first guest or the first member of the coaching group. But we had 30 minutes to explain what we were doing. And it's like, when you go over what it is and how you can change someone, that's where the value comes. And I think it's crazy if there's so many people out there that, how many people sign in to go to college every fucking day?
An unreal amount. So many people.
I don't even want to know what that number is. And they sign off on astronomical amounts of money.
Yeah.
How many people can afford less than $200 a month?
Quite a few.
Every single person can. Every single person on the planet can afford to invest $200 in themselves a month. Yep. I don't care who you are. The only reason you can't afford that is because you're buying drugs. Like, I feel like that's probably the only reason. Like, you could figure out some way to put together $200 to try to figure out how to better your life.
And I think for a lot of people, it's not necessarily that college teaches you this. It's just like kind of what happens is that once you get into like the corporate world or into like a cushy job, like you quit learning. A lot of people. And even if you're like where you want to be and you're in that cushy job and you just don't think you need to learn anymore, you're not just staying the same knowledge-wise. You got that bachelor's degree 10 years ago. In those 10 years since that 4, your knowledge has regressed. Whoever knows how much. But if you're not like, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Oh, and it goes the same way with money. We listened to Dan Fleischman.
Dan Fleischman.
Fleischman was there. And when he was talking about he has invested in astronomical amounts of companies out there.
A lot.
And he was talking about how he runs such low overhead for like such low cash flow for all these companies. And at first I was like, that's strange. He goes, any company that I am a part of has less than 12 months of reserve. He goes, I don't believe in holding any more of that. And he goes, I don't hold more than 12 months reserve in my personal stuff. And at first I'm like, okay, now I'm very intrigued.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, because most people are like, build a savings account, build a savings account, build a savings account. So he goes, if you take $100,000 and he goes, and I have it sitting there, he goes, depreciation over 1 year, he goes, I lost $9,000 with that $100,000 just sitting there. He goes, I can put it into, he did what, the 40-40-20 rule?
Uh-huh.
So 40% is low risk, 40% is medium, 20% is high. So he goes, if I go into something low, he goes, I take that same $100,000 and I put it into something low risk. He goes, I'm looking between 7 and 9% return. He goes, now I took the same $100,000 that lost me $9,000 and made me $9,000. He goes, now it's not directly sitting in my bank account that I can like visually see, but now I just took money that lost and made it to where it made money on something that is low risk that I'm pretty much guaranteed not to lose on. And it's those kind of people that you look at their kind of mindset of how they look at money, that money is, I think too many people have got, it's became this like overpowering, like, I don't even know, like God figure that's over everything.
For sure. It's on a pedestal.
It's fucking paper. Look, it's the same thing a book is made out of.
Yeah.
You want to strive to have money, but you won't strive to read books. Like that individual, it's a tangible thing that can increase material items.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. It is a tool that people just try to have a bigger and bigger tool. But what it can do is where it can't buy you time, it can buy you time. It works in two ways. It can't buy you previous time, but it can buy you future time. And I feel like that is something that so many people discount, which most people, when they ask me a goal of Moss Marketing Group, it's when I can't tell the difference between a Wednesday and a Sunday. When I 100% control my time, and I told Ricky this when we were sitting in Utah, it was the first time since I've opened Moss Marketing Group that I sat there and I felt 100% at peace not being here. I literally at that point felt like I made it. Like, I don't know what it was. We were sitting by the pool in our hotel. I'm like sitting in my swim trunks. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, there isn't like a worry in the world that has crossed my mind.
And then what happened?
And then some lady comes in with all these fucking loud ass children and ruined it.
Just completely ruined it.
Completely ruined it.
So we left.
I would have, and then we left and ordered room service.
So I think we should take a moment to talk about what's going to be included in Square One.
For
like
sure.
as far as
And
the tangible.
the structure, everything around it.
This is when you guys all look at me. No, so
You're the
I-
one with the plan,
yeah.
man.
I'm the
we
plan
can go
guy.
over it. We all know it.
No, so I want to do, there's going to be once a week live call that is going to be all members of Square One plus members of Moss Marketing Group that are going to be there. Because I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of you guys know a lot more about the in-depth marketing than I do.
And we will also be members of Square One for
Exactly.
our goals, our
Yeah.
stuff that we're going through too.
So everyone at Moss Marketing Group has become members of Square One. And I want your guys' insights on everything as we move forward, because you guys are who I look to as being my core group of people that drive me where I'm going. And I feel like that's where we're building a community for all these people. I've positioned myself to build a community around me, and that's you guys.
Yeah.
So,
and likewise with each other.
There's going to be guests that come on Square One in different industries, and to go over what's happening in real estate, to go over what's happening in the automotive space, to go over what's happening in the restaurant space, all these different spaces. We have all these connections of people that we can bring on that can give direct insights of their success and what they have done to increase their growth and everything in those direct areas. I also want to work on training material. And we were all going over this yesterday. On next week, it's going to be like a week from now, so whenever this goes live. But the training of Facebook marketing individually. Excuse me again. I want to go over what people need to do to drive their organic social on Facebook, what they need to do Facebook ads, all these things. We're going to give you the exact blueprint of what to do on Facebook to be successful. We're then going to give you the exact blueprint of what it takes to be successful on Instagram. We are going to give you the blueprint of how to do it on TikTok, how to do it on LinkedIn. These are all going to be broken down into different sectors within Square One. And then trying to think of the whole list of things that we have.
There was a big list.
There is a big list of all these different, the community.
That's going to be huge.
That in itself, I think, is worth the value.
Yeah.
With nothing else. That is what became so big that I look at the connections we made going out to one event. It is crazy. Mm-hmm. And there's so many people that get into the business space, and they're a lone ranger out there. I mean, it's a wild, wild west, and you're out there by yourself. Mm-hmm. So that community becomes that spot that I want people, if you're struggling something this week on whatever it is, you can get in the group and find out what that answer is to that problem. Someone else in the group has probably had that problem.
And the great thing about it is, too, that people who have a growth mindset and who have been successful, they want to help other people and see other people be successful. So it's not just going to be us. It's going to be everyone in this group. If someone has the willingness to, join this group and wants to be around people like that, they're also willing to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's 100% why it's a paid group.
Yeah.
And at first I didn't understand the whole coaching platform type deal. But the reason that they put a price tag on it is to wean out the people that shouldn't be in it.
100%.
The people that want to be in it, $200 shouldn't be anything to them. They're spending that money to come in to be around the same group of people. Yeah. People will spend thousands of dollars to become a member of a chamber, or what was that deal we went out to in Lee Summit? We went to some deal. Like, if you want to sign it up, it's $1,500 to be a part of it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And we give out weekly.
Yeah, I mean, there's gurus all over
this
LinkedIn
wasn't even
and whatever.
There wasn't even an individual type.
Yeah, just all those networking groups.
Yeah. So,
like you can join this for $1,500.
So you join into all these networking groups.
Okay, yeah, what am I getting?
Exactly. And somebody's like, well, you can join into it, and there's like 4 other marketing people here, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I don't know, just load of bullshit. And I want something that it doesn't matter what space you're in, what you're doing. Every single person in that group is here to grow. Mm-hmm. We sat at an event that the Muscle, Rob Bailey, or Keaton, the Muscle, and Sean Whelan all sat on stage with all 3 of them having coaching groups that compete against one another. And Sean's like, I would tell anyone to join either one of these guys' groups. Because he goes, they're going to figure out things to grow themselves in life. And the muscle talks about how many millionaires he's built out of his group already. I looked at Ricky and I told him within 5 years I will sit on stage with those guys.
Yep.
I have no question that's going to happen. I think it happens faster than 5 years. But once again, I don't want somebody to think I'm crazy.
Let them think you're crazy.
Yeah, who cares, man?
Well, that's a whole, that could probably be like 5 podcasts.
Podcast.
We'll do a different one for that.
5 podcasts in itself about people, like other people's opinions.
Yeah.
But once again, there's so much that is involved in mindset, business, and marketing. Like you take those 3 things, there's so much that when I looked at Ricky and I told him that we're going to start a coaching group, at first I was just thinking marketing.
Yeah.
It's so much more than that.
And I talked to Madison. She's like, you could sell something strictly on mindset.
Yeah.
She goes, I've never met somebody that nothing in your world can go wrong. And a lot of people look at that as like a negative thing. And I've acquired people that don't like me because of that. That, oh, nothing goes wrong in Dane's world, blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck those people. Like, I really don't care.
People are always going to hate who, like, are envious of where you're at, or just even, like, think that things should be done, like, the traditional way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, we obviously have the story of opening MMG and how it's different from everything. This is going to seem like, I love sports references. This is going to seem a little out of left field, but in the bowling world, so I'm a bowler, and in the bowling world, the best bowler,
Brown the bowling.
right, the best bowler in the world's name is Jason Belmonte, and he's from Australia. And when he was like 18 months old, his parents bought a bowling alley. They'd never bowled before. He wanted to bowl at 18 months, or maybe a little older than that, like 3 years. He couldn't pick up a ball besides like the 10-pound ball, and the only way he could throw it was two-handed. So traditionally, until like the early 2000s, no one threw the ball two-handed. It was all one-handed. Well, he as a little kid had to throw it two-handed. Well, he starts to get really good, and he starts to get competitive. So he starts winning tournaments as a teenager against adults. And one person said to him, "It's time that you stop throwing the ball like a kid and start throwing it like an adult." And he looked at the guy and he goes, "Well, I'm beating you, so why would I want to throw the ball like you?" Traditional doesn't always work.
We could probably go back through the first like 30 podcasts, and I guarantee you're going to probably find something in there about me saying something about a fat person telling me how to train.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty dominant on. That's normally my analogy on that. But I listen to these guys that we're listening speak because they've already done it.
Yeah.
We have finally came to our spot in the marketing space and a business space that, guess what, we've done it. Are we anywhere where we're going to go in the future? No. Mm-hmm. Where when we clear, my deal is to clear into a 9 to 10 figure company. And then we'll get even bigger people following us. Where we're at, like I said, we're going up that tier of where we're going. When you go speak to Sean Whalen, he has 2,500 people in his coaching group at $300 a person. It's $800,000 the guy's making a month.
Just off that.
Just off that. Not including anything else that he has going. Just off his coaching. You know how many people's lives he's changed through the coaching?
Yeah. And that's why he does it, not the $800,000.
That's
also a reason.
A big benefit. But it's one of those things that value, the money he is getting from that, the value that he has brought to other people is worth way more than that dollars and cents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would give anything to be able to help out 2,500 people a month. If somebody came to me and said, "Hey, you know what? You get paid $0 a month, but I'm giving you $2,500, or I'm giving you 2,500 people to speak to weekly," I would be on cloud 9. Mm-hmm. If you take the dollars and cents away from it. Like I now have the high school I went to reaching out to me to go speak to them about entrepreneurship and marketing and all these other things. That's when you know you're starting to get to a spot that people are listening. Mm-hmm. But it's this whole time we've been working behind the scenes, and people, these other marketing companies, these other people around, like, oh, there'll never be anything, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? We're here. and we're just getting going.
Yeah.
And when I talk to you guys, like, once again, I'm not saying on here what these goals are, but I tell you guys what they are, and you know they're going to fucking happen. And it's just strap up, get ready.
I don't think none of us flinched when you said 8, 9, 10 figures.
No, like
That's all of our mindset.
and that's why everyone that is here is here.
There's no, and that's a big thing for me too, is that there's, when people get into something, and the first time I heard this, I think I've always been like this, and I think all of us have, but the first time I heard someone say it, it really resonated with me. It was my sales manager at Sunlighten, and he said to our training class when I got hired, he said, if you guys are thinking about like plan B, you've already quit, do us a favor, save us the time, and just go back to your old job.
Logan said, I'm not going to my old job. I'm going fuck MMG.
Yeah. and that, exactly. But if you're in a position in life in anything to where you get an opportunity or you're starting something new and you're thinking, well, man, if this doesn't work, I bet a gym would hire me back. I bet Hallmark would hire me back. You've already quit. Just go back to do it.
Yep.
And save everyone the time.
When I stepped into this, money was one of those things that, once again, it's a huge driving factor for everyone. I had huge opportunities in the car space to go take on these huge high-paying roles. But I saw a future for something different. I saw a future for owning my time. I saw a future for changing other people's lives. And when I saw that, and what it was when I started Moss Marketing Group, you would be amazed at the first 6 months how every single person I talked to, they would ask me what plan B looked like.
Same.
I'm like, I don't have one.
Same.
And they're like, what do you mean? Like, what if this doesn't work? I go, it's going to fucking work. I promise you that.
Oh, yeah.
I had a relative that I barely have ever talked to in my life, and I saw him at a family gathering shortly after doing it, and they asked me so what is your title? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, we don't really have titles. We're grinding, and
We're rocking out in a basement.
Okay. So, I see. So what are you going to do if this doesn't work? And I'm like, oh, it's going to work. You're going to see. That same relative I ran into recently at another event, and they're like, oh, I saw that you just bought a Tesla. Like, that's pretty cool. And I'm like, you're damn fucking right. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
guess what? It's working.
Yeah.
You know what? I told you it was going to work.
So
I said it was going to work, and it's working.
it's hilarious when that stuff happens.
I'll say, like, high school, college, I was bad about. I thought I had to explain myself to everyone.
Yeah.
When people doubted me, I thought that there was like an explanation that came behind it.
Yeah.
And I finally came to a spot where when people doubt me, I just kind of grin a little bit, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need to explain myself.
Watch me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just keep an
Watch
eye
me.
on it. And that's like, we post stuff now on Instagram, and we have other marketing companies, other media companies talking shit on what we're doing because they're chasing behind. And when they do it, what is my reply to them? Hey, you know what? Keep watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah, keep watching, buddy.
You see what we're doing. You're just not willing to do it.
Exactly. And once again, it's like as we progress, and I mean, Ricky's pushed me to this spot. I watch him do these videos of himself and talking. I'm like, I have to start doing that.
Yep.
Do I want to do it? Absolutely not. But am I going to get uncomfortable? But yeah, I need to push myself outside my comfort zone.
If you have some time one night, you
He's
should
like,
scroll.
You ought to practice.
Scroll and
through
scroll
his
because you have to
Instagram.
scroll for a while. But there was a time where that's like all that I posted. But if you listen to like the very beginning ones, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Just like the podcast, how much
you
better
listen
you've
to the
gotten.
first podcast to now.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not even the same thing.
For all of us.
Every single one of us. And that's, I look at as progression for myself. And I've always looked at progression of like pushing myself forward, but it's progression as a company. It's progression of everyone that is here. And I look at every single person that's sitting here, and I am so thankful that I get to sit in that spot. I'm not even going to say I'm in the driver's seat. I feel like I'm sitting in the very back watching everyone do this stuff. And I'm do all these incredible things that when I have a meeting and I say, hey, you know what? I want to see the 10 biggest problems with this company, how we're going to overcome them, what the content execution looks like, what the marketing strategy looks like. And a whole entire meeting runs without me,
Yeah.
I'm like, I've done a pretty fucking good job. That's what makes me happy. Like, and it just, I don't know, that is like the pinnacle of what I was looking to go to. And now it's there. And now I look at Square One as being an opportunity to do the same thing for more people.
Yeah.
Where I understand our marketing cost and everything as a business doesn't work for everyone. Now, I understand not everyone owns a business yet. They don't understand, not even understand. They might not be ready to take that step. But they have $200 a month to invest in themselves to figure out what it takes to take that step and to believe in themselves, to put people in their corner. That is a lonely road to take. When you take that, I wish more than anything, I would have signed up for something like this years ago when I started, because I feel like I'd be 10 steps ahead of myself.
I mean, to kind of sum up what you guys just talked about, like, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. Like, Dane's talking to us before this podcast, and we said we were going to talk about it on here, but whatever. Cold showers.
Yeah,
So
that's you want to talk about. Andy Friselis was talking about how he takes cold showers and is taking on the most uncomfortable thing
first thing in the morning.
And let me tell you, this morning, I feel like I don't know if, like, I don't think I have asthma, but I felt like I had asthma or some sort of shit that was, I couldn't breathe. And it was just one of those things, though, that I felt phenomenal afterwards.
You feel great after it.
I feel like everyone probably noticed when I walked in this morning. I was fired up, except for Ricky. He had to go film, so he was out. But everyone else, like, I was rolling. Like, I've been rolling all day, and just a phenomenal way to start your day.
Yeah, I'm going to try one tomorrow morning.
You're gonna have, you made it to the gym this morning. I saw that.
I did.
I was texting you when I was at the gym.
I've been making it to the gym.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't post a picture about it, then it didn't happen.
That's true.
I guess I'm just going to have to post a picture every morning.
Doing those things that, once again, all those guys talk about, and I mean, I don't like being one of those people that's like, well, he talks about this and blah, 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 blah. But they very much keep the promises to themselves that they make.
That's the most important thing. That's the one thing that builds self-confidence.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you want to know where to start, anyone,
Yeah.
it's make a promise to yourself and fucking keep it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be something huge. Just fucking pick something and do it. Deliver on it, and, like, teach yourself and get that muscle memory for your brain that I can commit to something and I can do it.
You know how hard it is for people? And I don't ever want to be a hypocrite. That if I'm sitting there telling you to go to the gym in the morning and I don't go to the gym,
Yeah.
what right do I have you to tell you to go to the gym? Like, I don't have that right. Just like the 300-pound out-of-shape fat person that's going to be a trainer, they don't have the right to tell me how to work out. They don't. Like, I don't
take your
care.
own advice first.
Exactly. Take your advice first. I didn't have the right to start a coaching group 2 years ago. I hadn't proven the process. I've proven the process now.
Yeah.
Are we going to have, like, multi-million, gajillion-dollar companies starting yet? No. And I'm okay with that. We haven't proven ourselves to that point. Mm-hmm. But guess what? We're going to. When we do, those people then will join.
Yeah.
But right now, the people starting out, we have proven ourselves. We've went 1 to 10 in, I don't know, 24 months, pretty much legit. I don't know. Dre's
You're
doing
throwing
math.
a lot of fucking numbers out
Dre's
there. Again,
doing math over
You're
there.
good at throwing
26 months.
math.
But it's one of those things that I watched the progression of what we've just done in 2022. That's astronomical by itself. That's like 90% of the growth that this company's had. We have figured out the roadmap to do it. I want to give it to everyone.
Yeah.
And I think when you do that, I want to give these people the roadmap to make their life better for their kids, for their significant other, to have a better relationship. My relationship with Madison is better than it's ever been. My relationship with Madison at the dealership was falling apart because I wasn't fucking home. ever. Like, it's really hard to have a one-sided relationship that there's this mythological person that's over here that's never fucking here. Like, and that's what it was. Oh, there's this person that you hang out with on Sundays.
Just Sundays.
Who is this person that you hang out with on Sundays?
It's called imaginary.
Yeah, it's this imaginary person that you hang out with on Sundays. But it's just one of those things that there's so many of those. I want to help that person that was in my shoes 4 years ago. If I can help one person, the whole thing will be worth it.
Hell yeah.
I feel like
That's
Lauren's
it.
wheels are turning over here.
I don't want to just keep going back to like my position, but since leaving the nursing field, I myself have had 3 or 4 people message me who are nurses and working in a hospital, kind of in the same position as me, and they have seen my personal life completely take a 360, and they have reached out to me and just been like, how did you do it? Like, they just feel... I think the biggest thing is when you guys were talking...
If they're up to your caliber, just tell them come talk to us and we'll just take them on also.
Yeah.
When you guys were talking about getting discouragement from people because you don't do things the traditional or the right way, quote unquote.
Just so you know, there's no right way.
Right.
Period.
No.
But I remember during COVID, when I like fully made the decision to step away from nursing, and nurses were getting paid very, very good during COVID. I'm not going to discourage that. I'm not going to discount that. And I had so many people come to me and say, you're crazy for leaving when travel nurses are getting paid this and floor nurses are getting paid this. And I was like, I don't give a shit about how much money it is. I right then and there told myself I would never sacrifice my happiness and well-being for money. Like
I did it for 3 years.
Yeah.
I did it for a long time.
And I will say what most people think is a lot of work time, I was doing double that
Yeah.
Yeah.
for 3 years, which in return gave us a lot of capital to start Moss Marketing Group.
Yeah.
But it was, I put it dollars and cents of what a year, pretty much straight up a year. I mean, I had 52 Sundays. That was all the time I had in a year. And I pretty much put a timestamp on, I put a dollars and cents of exactly what my time was valued at outside of that. And
To only live 1/7 of your life.
you only have one.
Yeah.
And at that point, I don't really care what had happened in my, I didn't really care what the fuck my future looked like.
Yeah.
As long as it wasn't that.
Yeah.
As long as I could have the relationships back with the people around me, and I was going to figure out whatever way it took to get my life back.
I was at the same point too. I mean, I filled the gap because I couldn't do it anymore. I knew that this was going to come to fruition at some point. And
I don't know how many times Logan and I drank in the garage going over this.
us three, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I was at a point to where I couldn't do it anymore, man. I was about to, like, not on purpose, obviously, but I was about to accidentally kill myself driving home from work, falling asleep. I had to, like, I left to go to Sunlighten because I couldn't take it anymore, and because I knew that this was going to come to fruition, and I needed something to bridge the gap, blah, blah, blah. But there comes a certain point to where, like, you just got to value your time, and that doesn't mean that you just kind of, like, you got to value your time in a way that is still productive and still going to, you know, get you to where you want to be in life.
Yeah. That's I definitely think that Square One coaching is going to build a bridge so many of these things for people. And once again, I've had a lot of people reach out about what it is, how, the execution of it. Do I have the execution 100% mapped out? No. We're going to figure it out as we roll.
That's called taking action.
Yeah. We're taking action.
When you take action 100% of the time, you're going to mess up sometimes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter because you're going to figure it out and you're going to course correct.
The only great thing is no one knows how it's supposed to be mapped out.
Yeah.
That's true.
The map out is not a set way of how we're supposed to do it. But if we can change people's lives as we go in every way possible, then we're going to execute what we set out to do.
I would urge anyone, I mean, I feel like this has been a really in-depth good conversation.
I will say this is probably the most in-depth I feel like I've gotten on a podcast
Same.
on something. But I feel very passionate about what we're doing.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think we all do. And I would say for anyone listening who's made it to this point, obviously, thank you for listening first off. But additionally, if you've gotten any value from this podcast at all, if you've taken like that one nugget away from it, reach out about Square One.
Yeah, this
Send,
is just
send,
like a
send
small
one of us
snippet.
a message.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be what that weekly call and conversation is like,
Yeah.
except you're going to be able to offer your perspective, have your questions answered,
Yeah.
give us advice, and kind of just like be in the circle about it,
Yeah, and that's what I don't want to tell anyone out there that, hey, this is going to solve every problem in your life, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's not. But we're going to be able to offer guidance on how to navigate those waters.
Yep.
That there's going to be a lot of things that come up that all of us here have had to navigate and overcome and figure out. And we are going to be able to be that person in your corner to say, hey, we're here. Let's make it happen. Instead of being a one-man crew, you now became a whole team. It's a lot easier to make something happen when you have a team behind you. As the team behind Moss Marketing Group gets bigger, the more my confidence in my head just is like, we can do anything. Like, and it's crazy that like it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's people I'm friends with, they're like as things progress, people I know have just got more of a confidence in what we're doing. I now have people come into us wanting to invest. People are like, hey, I want to invest in this. I'm like, yeah, like, keep watching. Like, there's probably one person I let invest. Besides that, probably not. But it's keep watching.
Yeah.
You're going to know down the road that if I would have let you invest, I've been the best investment of your life. But we don't need it.
Yeah.
Keep watching. And I want every single person that's in Square One coaching to be able to look at everyone around them and say, keep watching.
Yep.
I'm that one. I'm the one.
Yeah. And I mean, it's honestly a no-brainer. Like, I just sit here and I think about it, and I'm just doing the math. I'm a numbers guy. So at $50 a week to have this conversation once a week, like that's worth a lot more than $50.
You would think so.
Yeah, I know so.
And like I said, this is something that we could go on. Dre's over there making some weird ass action.
He just
No, he dropped the
just
mic.
dropped the mic.
Oh, he dropped.
Boom.
mic
We have
drop.
lots of mics. You probably grab one.
I know.
I don't think we can drop these, so these are pretty tight now.
But this podcast could go on for hours.
Yeah,
And like I said, that's what Square One coaching is going to be.
absolutely.
You are going to be able to come and ask any questions that you want and get answers for it. Lauren is grinning over here that Dre is doing something via my left side. And we kicked Dre off the podcast, so he now has to chair over there.
Yeah, he's the producer now.
Yep. But I am so excited about doing it, and I think it's something that's kickstarted me even more in the way of helping more people.
Yeah.
And I think I told Ricky before we went to this event that I don't know how much I would get out of it, just because I thought it was all going to be like a mindset deal, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
like,
hoorah.
like hoorah kind of
Hype.
stuff. And I'm like, I'm not much of that person because I don't feel like I need that. But it was actually, there was a lot of very good, genuine information of what to do. And once again, you have to take action. And anyone watching, if you're going to join Square One or not, I want you to take action. Anything that you're doing.
Yep.
Take action. Good, bad, and different. Take action. Stop talking about things. Stop making excuses. Take action. If you listen to this whole podcast and nothing comes from it, just take action. Like, that's all I can preach to anyone is stop listening to everyone around you and just take action. And
I would say if you made it to this far in this podcast, you're curious and you need to send one of us a message and have a conversation about it at least
yeah,
to see how it could benefit you.
yeah.
Yep.
Ricky's like over there like, pew, pew, pew.
I have to also keep an eye on the cameras and make sure
that,
they stay
that
recorded.
red square stays there.
Yeah.
I've noticed.
I have checked on it quite a few times.
I've noticed that if I look over here like this while you're talking for a little while, you'll also look because you think something's up.
I'm like, what is he looking
like,
at
what
over
is
there?
happening over
Like,
there?
is the light not working or something?
Obviously, everybody needs to be in Square One. That's going to be linked down below.
Yep. Once again, if you have any questions whatsoever, I want you to reach out. Mindset, business, marketing, any of them.
Accountability. Like,
And that, I feel like the amount of words that we could put in with what
oh yeah.
Square One is going to be is, we'd have a whole laundry list of them. There's so many things that fall within that. And I think when Ricky and I first started talking about it, we had to come up with 3 just like set words that we have to keep it to where somebody can actually tell someone what it is.
Yeah.
And, but like in that mindset with the accountability, having the right people on your side, all those things, like I have the luxury of going home, and Madison's my accountability person. Like, I promise you, if good, bad, and different, whatever it is, she's going to tell me. But I always have that accountability. Everyone that's here keeps me very accountable. I'm very much a person that when I have an idea, I tell someone because I feel like it makes me more accountable. Because I 100% have to keep that promise to myself. But then if I don't do it, then I'm also like a liar. When we started the podcast, it was something that I just spewed out. And I was like, shit, open my mouth.
Kind of like Everest.
Yeah. Everest is going to happen. I'm telling you. Yeah. And one day we're going to have a podcast. I'm going to be like, yeah, told you, motherfuckers.
Hey, I'd love that. I can't wait.
I'm going to be gone for a little while. But it's going to happen. I need to get in a lot better shape before that happens, though.
All right, we're going to hold you to it.
That's what I want. I want the right people around me to hold me accountable for those things.
Yeah.
But any closing thoughts?
I think we covered it all.
I do too.
We covered it all?
I think so.
I mean, we got a new producer in the house, so if he jacks everything up, then it's on him.
Well, he's not in his
But
chair, so he's over there.
He's not in his chair, so I haven't seen a shadow go by, so I'm going to say Key Dre.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.